lesson we're going to be talking about adding and subtracting polynomials. So for the warm-up we want to talk about what are like terms, and remember like terms are the same variable raised to the same power. So for example, 2x and 5x would be like terms because they have the same variable raised to the same power. X squared and 3x squared would be like terms, same variable, same power. Some examples that would not be like terms would be like x and y, different variables, or x to the fourth and x squared, because it's the same variable but they are raised to different power. So the big thing to remember is like terms, same variable, same power. So we're going to be talking about polynomials and then also what they are like in standard form. And a polynomial is a monomial, which we have talked about before. A monomial is just a single term, or the sum of monomials, each called a term of the polynomial. Some polynomials have special names. A binomial is the sum of two monomials. A trinomial is the sum of three monomials. Remember, like a bicycle, 2 wheels, tricycle, 3 wheels, binomial, 2, trinomial, 3. So an example of a monomial, we've talked about this before, 5x. Remember, you cannot have negative exponents for a monomial, but other than that, it's just any term that does not have addition in it, addition or subtraction. So you can multiply for a monomial, but you cannot add or subtract within the monomial. And again, the no negative exponents. Binomial, notice we have two different monomials. We have 2x squared, this is a monomial, plus 7, here's another monomial. So a binomial is two monomials combined, added together. Trinomial would be 3 monomials. We have x cubed, which is a monomial, negative 10x, plus 1, all individually monomials when we combine the 3 monomials together. And when I say combine, we're not actually making them one thing, but x cubed minus 10x plus 1, when we talk about that polynomial, that would be a trinomial. We also have to talk about the degree of a monomial, and that's the sum of the exponents of all of the variables. So a non-zero constant term has degree 0, and 0 has no degree. So degree 0 is constant, 1 linear, 2 quadratic. I'm not so concerned. You know all these, okay? Probably as long as you know up to cubic. So you should know constant, linear, quadratic, cubic. As long as you know those. We usually don't talk about quartic or quintic equations too much, especially not in Algebra 1. So if we look at this term right here, the degree would be 2 because you see x is squared, so that has a degree of 2. Here, this trinomial, this monomial term would have degree of 3, okay? And this monomial would have degree of 1 because x is being raised to the first power. That's for a monomial, so when we look at individual pieces. The degree of a polynomial, so for example, the degree of this entire trinomial is the greatest degree of any term in the polynomial. All you got to do is figure out which one has the highest degree. Obviously, that's the first one. It has a degree of 3 because we have a degree of 1 in our second term, degree of 0 in our third term. So raised to the third power means degree of 3, that's the highest degree. So this trinomial would have a degree of 3. And you find the degree of a polynomial by finding the degree of each term, which we already just did. Polynomials are named based on their degree. And then we're actually going to be talking about when we use that degree to put things into a certain form. Looking at this binomial, hopefully you can tell this would have a degree of 2 because we have a degree of 2 in our first term, degree of 0 in our second term, and obviously 2 is bigger than 0, so the highest term of any of the monomials within the binomial is 2, so the binomial itself has a degree of 2. So let's look at a few examples. We're going to see, are they a polynomial? And if it's a polynomial, we're going to name the degree of the polynomial and then determine is it a monomial, binomial, or trinomial. So the first one, we have 4y minus 5xc. Basically, your only rule for it to be a polynomial is no negative exponents. So we can say yes because we have a monomial and then we have another monomial. Two monomials make it a polynomial. To find the degree, we are going to find the term with the highest amount of exponents. So we have 4y to the first power, so that is degree of 1. Then we have 5x to the first power, z to the first power. So we have, remember, you add all your exponents together, and you would get 2, so this is actually degree of 2, and then you would say it is a binomial because we had two different monomials being added together. And this first one's a little tricky because normally we don't have two different variables. Just remember, if you have two different variables, you add their exponents together. That's why you have a binomial. Okay, you don't actually see anything raised to the second power, but we have two first powers within the same monomial, within that same term of 5xz, which is why it's a degree of 2. Now, negative 6.5, is it a polynomial? Yeah, because this is a monomial. Any number is always going to be a monomial, which automatically makes it a polynomial. It's a constant. It has no exponents and no variables, so we know it's obviously to the degree of 0. And I've already said it's a monomial because it's just that one term. Now the third one, we have 7a to the negative third plus 9b. As soon as I see a negative exponent, which means there would be division, remember we never want division within monomials, we don't want to be dividing by a variable. As soon as I see that negative exponent, it is not a polynomial, which means I don't need to find the degree or say what kind it is. Then this last one, we have 6x cubed plus 4x plus x plus 3. Each of these individual terms is a monomial. Each of these individual terms has a variable raised to a positive exponent. So they are all monomials, which means when we add them all together, they will be a polynomial. To find the degree, I find the term with the highest degree. First term has a degree of 3. Second term, degree of 1. Third term, degree of 1. Fourth term, degree of 0. Obviously, the highest degree is the first one, 3. So I know that I'm raising everything to a degree of 3. Not raising everything to a degree of 3, but the polynomial has a degree of 3 because this term has an exponent of 3. And it is 4 things being added together, which may make you think it's not a trinomial. But actually, if we look, we have like terms right here, 4x plus x. So you could rewrite this as 6x cubed plus 5x plus 3, which would then make it a trinomial. That one gets a little tricky because you do have the like terms. So if you didn't initially think this was a trinomial, don't worry because it was a little tricky. But the main thing I want you to be seeing here is being able to see what degree it is. Remember, the degree of a polynomial is just the degree of the highest monomial inside it. So we look for the highest degree of any individual monomial. That's where we got our degree of 3 and our degree of 2 and our degree of 0.